The leaders of the two main factions of Libya have agreed to implement a ceasefire and to hold elections next year following talks brokered by French President Emmanuel Macron, which have been hailed as historic. Here's the joint statement from the Prime Minister Fayez al-Sarraj and General Khalifa Hifter, as read by a translator.
The solution to the Libyan crisis can only be a political solution that starts with the national reconciliation, gathering of all Libyans, including the country's active military and security institutions. The country is ready to take part in this peaceful reconciliation and to guarantee the safe return of the refugees and the displaced. We commit to a ceasefire and to avoid military acts in matters that do not concern fighting terrorism, based on the Libyan political agreement and the international agreements, and protecting the Libyan territory and its sovereignty. We strongly condemn everything that threatens the stability of Libya. We officially commit to organizing presidential and legislative elections as soon as possible, starting from the date of the announcement of this declaration, in coordination with relevant institutions and with the support and supervision of the United Nations.
The Egyptian military reports 40 militants were killed in a wide-ranging campaign in the Sinai Peninsula, where the Islamic State group has been waging a deadly insurgency. In a statement, the military said 40 extremists were killed in the week-long campaign, but it did not specify which groups the militants belonged to. The announcement came a day after 7 civilians were killed in a foiled attack on a checkpoint with a car bomb. The Islamic State group has waged deadly attacks on the military and police, most recently on a checkpoint in Sinai on July 7th that killed at least 21 soldiers. Still in Egypt, the country's criminal court has sentenced 43 activists to life in prison on Tuesday in a retrial of anti-government protesters who clashed with authorities in late 2011. Both local and international rights groups have repeatedly voiced criticism of the mass trials that have become commonplace since the army overthrew President Mohamed Musri in 2013. The 43 defendants had been charged with rioting, vandalism and attacking security forces during clashes with police and the army in Cairo in December 2011, in which at least 17 people were killed and almost 2,000 others wounded. They were also fined more than $900,000 combined for vandalizing public property during the clashes. 9 others were sentenced to 10 years in prison and 1 to 5 years, while 92 were acquitted. The defendants can appeal their verdicts to the higher court. Life sentences in Egypt last for 25 years. And still in Egypt, a police operation in Cairo's Warraq Island has forcibly evicted residents accused of squatting on state land. The action is part of a government campaign to reclaim state-owned land, which sparked clashes that left 1 resident dead. The government says about 90,000 people live on the 1,000-acre island. In a cabinet report, it promised that those who had contracts and official papers proving land ownership would not be affected by the demolitions, but a number of former residents said that that was not the case.
I left the house at 10 a.m. and went to bring breakfast for the family before they woke up. I came back and found this disaster. I thought the house had fallen down on my children. I never ever thought they would demolish the house, or the government would demolish the house, because they didn't say they would.
Of course, people were very frightened when they saw that view. A dreadful sight, a really dreadful one. You saw the equipment and armored vehicles, things that aren't normal. And after, they came with written demolition resolutions on 15th of July and came to carry them out on 16th of July.
State property on the island is a total area of 60 fidans. The Al-Kaf Committee owns 30 fidans, and the state property is 30 fidans. We have no objection to the government from taking its property. Of course, they said they wouldn't demolish inhabited houses, but the opposite happened, and the proof is they knocked down 2 houses that were inhabited.
The European Union's top court has ruled that the Palestinian Islamist group Hamas should remain on the 28 members bloc's terrorism blacklist. The Court of Justice overturned the General Court ruling, which had said that there was not enough evidence to keep travel bans and asset freezes on Hamas. The lower court had said in 2014 that the listing was based on media reports, not decisions made by competent authorities. However, the ECJ said such decisions were not needed to keep groups on its list. In Wednesday's ruling, the Luxembourg-based authority said decisions by competent authorities were only required for the initial listing of groups or individuals. The ECJ added it was referring the case back to the General Court to examine the facts and arguments it did not consider in 2014.
In the case of C-79/15P, the Council of the European Union and Hamas, the Court's Grand Chamber hereby declares 1. The judgment of the General Court of the 17th of December 2014, Hamas Council T-410 is cancelled.
Now, 2 members of a teenage robotics team from Burundi who went missing after a competition in Washington last week have been found and are safe. Washington's Metropolitan Police Department on Tuesday said the teens, aged 16 and 17, were spotted last week crossing the border into Canada. They did not reveal where or when the pair were found. 4 boys and 2 girls from Burundi were last seen on July 18th after the first Global Robotics Challenge event concluded. Police have said they did not suspect foul play. An investigation is ongoing. Heavy rains and flooding in India's western state of Gujarat have killed at least 75 people and displaced over 25,000 others over the past 3 weeks. Officials report on Wednesday that the situation remains critical in Gujarat, with more than 10,000 people being moved to higher ground, including 1,000 who were airlifted to safety. India receives 80% of its annual rainfall during the monsoon season that runs between June and September. Now, 2 years after Cecil the lion was killed by a trophy hunter in Zimbabwe, his son has met a similar fate. Xander, a 6-year-old lion with several young cubs, was shot dead on the 7th of July. He was killed just outside Hwange National Park in northern Zimbabwe, close to where his father died. The killing of Cecil in 2015 caused worldwide outrage, but the acting director of Zimbabwe's national parks says no crime was committed when a hunter shot Xander, as the hunter's permits were in order and the cub was old enough.
This was a legal hunt with all the papers and in the appropriate, area in terms of what is written on the permits, and everything had been paid for, and so there is nothing to do to the hunter. There's nothing to do to the client. Everything is okay. With the collars, there is no law in Zimbabwe that says if an animal is collared, should not be hunted. But in most cases, hunters do not target collared animals. Sometimes they discover that there is a collar after shooting the animal. If you look at this animal that was shot, these are males, and the collar will be hidden in the mane. In this incident, the hunter didn't know that the lion is collared. Otherwise, on ethical grounds, in terms of sportsmanship, the hunter was not going to shoot an animal that is collared. There are so many lions that you could have chosen another one which is not collared.
Francophonie Games host nation Ivory Coast finally had a chance to celebrate a win at the ongoing games in Abidjan on Tuesday. Ivorian Marie-Josée Telou and her teammates finished first on the women's 100 meters relay, a welcome victory after fellow Ivorian Arthur Cissé Ngué finished just behind Seychelles' Dylan Sikobo in the men's 100 meters on Tuesday.
It's not the first time that I'm running here, but with the public it feels warm. And it's normal that I come to support the girls and bring a gold medal from these games to Ivory Coast.
With the cheering from the public who supported me and didn't let me down, and today by the grace of God we received the gold medal, so all we can do is thank to God, Lord.
Now, before we go, let's have a reminder of our top stories tonight. 7 people have died in 2 fires in Cape Town, South Africa. Following a protest, Nigeria's Senate votes to lower the age limit required to run for president. And the European Court of Justice rules the Palestinian fundamentalist group Hamas should remain on its terrorism blacklist. Now, that's all from the Evening News team and I tonight. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow. See you then. Goodbye.